Wonder about the future and how you'll be working and learning? Welcome to You in 2042, the future of work, with your host, Danielle Wallace.
Hello and welcome to another edition of You in 2042, the future of work. Joining me today in person is Stephen Ibaraki.
Hey, it's so cool to be here. I'm really excited to do this session.
And such a treat for myself to actually have an in-studio visit from such a global expert. Thank you so much for being able to join me on this show. I know you have a global repertoire and numerous keynotes, so I really appreciate you taking this opportunity to spend some time with me. Would love to set the stage and perhaps have you introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm a teacher who became a venture capitalist, and that's what I do right now. But I work across more than 200,000 CEOs, investors, and scientists on a daily basis.
I also understand a particular passion of yours is establishing AI for good, and you work with the UN. I'd be curious to know, with that lens of AI, what you may envision the future of work could bring.
That's a really interesting question, and it's evolved over time. So there used to be this feeling that AI would replace humans, but really that's not the case. What we're finding from the early data is that it's actually increasing jobs. And what AI is going to be doing, but different kinds of jobs. So I should mention when I say increasing jobs. Well, it will do is change some jobs and things like that, but it'll end up augmenting people in their various capacities. But there are some roles that will disappear, and that's why you have to be cognizant of that.
So with that, for that future world and the role of AI, what do you imagine then that the workplace itself may look like? Or even perhaps thinking more broadly, when you think at 2042, what may the future, the actual workplace look like?
We're in this time of the convergence or the digital and biological and physical, and you may have heard of this out of the World Economic Forum called the Fourth Industrial Revolution. And then in 2018, this became Society 5.0, where you have all of these different technologies merging and influencing society in intimate ways and in profound ways. And then in about the same year, a group out of the Netherlands called KNVI, or the World Dutch IT Society, came up with Smart Humanity, and that is this sort of pervasiveness of where everything is going to go. So I've been asked to keynote some of these conferences and so on, where I speak about the Fourth Industrial Revolution and so forth. But we really are in an exponential time of change. And I use a metaphor to describe it. Imagine, for example, you had a pond and you had a flower, sort of like an invasive, beautiful flower, and went part of the pond, and it was doubling every day. And you wouldn't notice it when it became 2 flowers and 4 and 8 and 16 and 32. But let's say when it was quarter full, well, the next day it's a half full, and the day after it's full. Well, in the evolution of innovation over the last 10,000 years, we're in that quarter full, half full, full, where everything is growing at a really rapid pace. So it's really impossible now to predict what life is going to be like, in essence, in 2042, because so many profound changes are going to happen within the next 10 years. So let me describe what I think life is going to be like in the next 10 years. So you're already seeing brain interfaces, and you're already seeing this ability to have something called the metaverse, which is really an old idea. It's been around for, let's say 3 decades. But now all the different technologies coming around where you can have a totally immersive environment. And we saw a little bit of a glimpse of that with the pandemic, where people were forced to use digital technology and then became commonplace. And now you even find people don't even want to come into work to work. They want to stay at home or work remotely. So it's profoundly changed our sort of attitudes of technology and how it could augment us or help us. Same thing with telemedicine. Telemedicine has been around for a long time. That is the ability to engage with clinicians and medical professionals over a remote line and so on, but never really got accepted. Well, guess what? It's now accepted. Or even this idea of vaccine production, 7, 8 years, sometimes 15 years, and sometimes never being able to come with something that will be effective. And guess what? We did this in under a year, right? So you're seeing this acceleration, and so that's going to have a profound effect on what life is going to be like. So I've written some pieces on this, and I imagine, let's say, within the next 10 years, you'll get up and you'll have different immersive devices telling you what your day is going to be, and you will be to move to those different digital realms, because there'll be replicas or mirrors of the physical realm, and your life will be this sort of constant integration of all of these different pieces. Almost like the movie Matrix, but without that dystopian aspect to it, though you have to guard against that as well. So imagine that kind of lifestyle where, really creativity comes to the forefront, the creator economy, where everybody has the ability to create and be an entrepreneurial in some way. And that could be like with you, Danielle, in your podcast, you're a creator, or it could be using videos, or it could be games, or it could be parts of this sort of digital realm, which some people are calling the metaverse. So you'll be to create. Not to mention, you'll be to tokenize or create digital sort of representations of things and maybe earn an income from that. I mean, the possibilities are endless, right?
So fascinating ideas, the metaverse, transformations of healthcare, the whole workplace itself being reformed with this immersive experience, and then the rise of token creation, the creator economy. With all that as play, and with this idea of this all within a short period of time of this fifth machine age, it sounds like there is this huge influx of change which is about to impact the workforce very soon. Would you say this is happening sooner than what people may expect?
Yes, in fact, you've seen some of this already, right? And, you walk into a bank, and a lot of that banking is online. You don't get the same kind of queues that you used to have in banks. So customer service has changed. When you call up your local telecom company for something, sometimes you have to go through a series of queues, or it may bring up online help, a chat bot of some sort. So we're already experiencing many elements of this, or this idea of a digital reshaping or digital transformation. People are already experiencing this. You're going to experience it. You're going to see this in autonomous vehicles as they become more commonplace, and that's going to change the whole logistics area and transportation. So, radical change is coming, but radical change to make things easier as well. I mean, you have companies who are now being able to simulate their manufacturing facility in the metaverse, like the Omniverse and the NVIDIA, for example, and before they actually produce the factory. And they can even have robots in this digital realm, and they can look at the layout and the interactions of these sort of avatars representing people within this digital representation, digital twin of a factory before you actually build it, and you can work out all the kinks. So what's happening then is companies are training their employees into this new kind of thinking of being able to work seamlessly with digital technology, or being able to replicate it in some kind of digital representation like a metaverse.
Wow, these are great insights. Thank you so much for sharing what's happening in the world right now as it relates to technology that's impacting our immediate future and then the extended future to come for learning and development. I'd love to speak further on our next podcast about the metaverse with learning and development, and how the next generation of extended reality can interface with us in learning and development. And beyond that, would also love to speak further about the future innovations to watch for and the role of AI for good. Thank you so much, and we'll pick this up on the metaverse in our next podcast.